Hey, what's up, folks? Stu Myrick, Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, The Horn, getting ready for another fun week, fun night of wrestling talk et al., which is kind of interesting because we also got football tonight, NFL football. You know, this crazy 2020 season because of the pandemic, having to postpone different things and all that good stuff. So Bills Titans, two undefeated teams in the NFL, are playing tonight because of COVID stuff. So and I just looked. I think I think Buffalo was up 14-10. Actually, I guess I could check real quick. But yeah, it's should be a fun night. This will be one of those where, oh yes, Titans are up 21-10 at half. So there we go. So the pandemic didn't screw up everything about them. This week, we will, of course, react to the recently completed WWE Draft. By the way, give you something to look forward to tomorrow. Segment 1 in the can, because last Friday, before the draft commenced, in an absolute surprise, I got to visit with none other than the WWE champion, Drew McIntyre. So that was really neat. Of course, we talked a little bit about the draft, but we talked about other stuff because I knew that by the time we would air the interview, of course, the draft would be over. So we talked about his rivalry with Randy Orton, his WWE 24 documentary, and a few other things that came to mind. And he was wonderful. He was great conversation. We really had a good time. He seemed to enjoy it. So you can check that out. It will be on the podcast, of course. And a dirty little secret, the podcast is usually up by tomorrow morning, by Wednesday mornings. 9 times out of 10, here lately, last week I waited, but here lately, it's actually been late Tuesday night. So after we get done here, I put everything together. I put it together for the radio show, and then I also put together the podcast, and I just go ahead and post the podcast. So if you are subscribed to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or any number of different podcast providers, you actually get the show a day before the radio audience does. So, a little bit of incentive. Subscribe to us. Rate us. Review us. Let us know what you like. And please, now don't troll, because I will block trollers. But if there's something you really like or something you'd like to hear on a future show, let us know. Because, we craft this around whatever's happening in wrestling at that time. But, let us know if you want to hear something specific, something different. Whether it's, talk about a different era or something like that. Just let us know. And, of course, you can tweet at us at SGTW on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. You can even email us. Those of you that still email, I email, sportsguystalkingwrestling@gmail.com. Just let us know. And we put, of course, we do the YouTube like you're watching now. So, and I do put some of our interviews on YouTube. They're not like the, video per se. It's what you have usually seen, usually a graphic with the waveform, but at least it's another way to catch our interviews. I do put interviews up separately. They don't go onto the podcast providers, but you can access them through our podcast host, Spreaker. So go to Spreaker.com, search Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. You'll see them. Anyway, got through all that stuff. But yeah, Drew McIntyre, fantastic interview. It was fun to talk to him. We even talked facial hair. He's married. He's got to think of things like this. So, but yes, we will recap the draft Um, I put this down on our run sheet. Those who write for WWE and who book this draft have obviously never watched an actual sports league draft, whether it be the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL. They've obviously never seen a sports league draft, because if they had, they would understand why the WWE draft ends up being so illogical. I mean, it's just nuts. Certain wrestlers get drafted over others, and I know it's storyline. I know it's scripted. It's not a real draft. They all still work for WWE. This is a story. As Justin likes to say, it's one of those things where, it's not. You don't watch it like a real wrestling show. You watch it like a TV show about a company that puts on wrestling. Simple as that. So I've been getting better about keeping that in mind, because there are times when you just shake your head. I won't get into my retribution rant again. I took up enough time last week, although that will enter in a little bit. I won't go nuts on them. By the way, you notice they were missing last night on Monday Night Raw. I guess maybe they got grounded. Maybe mom took away the keys to the minivan. I don't know. But I don't know. Anyway, didn't miss them, quite honestly. But yeah, we'll talk about that. We are going to do a podcast only segment, which you'll see here, where we will talk AEW. They will they celebrate their 1-year anniversary of AEW Dynamite tomorrow night on TNT. We've had some interesting, happenings in the land of All Elite. I watched, of course, last week with the tribute to Chris Jericho's 30 years in pro wrestling. Some great stuff. The video tributes, including just out of, besides Ultimo Dragon and, musicians like Slash, but also Hiroshi Tanahashi, his opponent at Wrestle Kingdom this past January. Well, that was a nice little touch. And then on top of that, when they were doing some of the background for Jon Moxley defending the AEW World Title against Lance Archer, they referenced the Texas Death Match that they had at Wrestle Kingdom when Lance was the IWGP United States champion. So, of course, that has led to a lot of speculation about, now that New Japan is under new management, could we finally see movement towards an agreement, some sort of working relationship with AEW? I think fans in the U.S. would absolutely, dance in the streets with glee. I know New Japan wants it. They need a TV deal in the U.S. because, quite frankly, as good as NJPW World is, it's not a television deal. So we'll see. What else? So we'll talk some about that. Talk some other things. Few little notes. Those of you that are Impact Wrestling fans, tonight's Impact Wrestling should be interesting. You saw last week when Eric Young attacked Rich Swann. You'll find out the status of that match. They're scheduled to compete at Bound for Glory. By the way, as luck would have it, on Thursday, I believe, I'm scheduled to talk to Moose. So that'll be a nice little conversation. We'll have that next week as we do our Bound for Glory preview. But it'll be good to talk to Moose. Not only about what's happening in Impact, his obsessive claim of the old TNA world title belt. And this rivalry he has with EC3. We'll see where that heads. They're scheduled to do a match in a, quote, undisclosed location. We'll see what transpires out of that. Plus, I got to ask him a couple of football questions. I mean, he did play 6 years in the NFL for the Patriots and the Falcons. So I do want to find out about what he thinks about his former quarterback, Tom Brady, now donning the pewter and red of Tampa Bay. So I haven't talked to him since then. So that'll be good. That'll be good to find out. It's kind of ironic because I'm talking to him on Thursday. And then the following Thursday, on Longhorn Lowdown, my other podcast, the Longhorn Legends podcast I do with Todd Hunt and Stevie Lee, I get to talk to one of his Falcons teammates, former Longhorn, Justin Blaylock, who ironically is in Atlanta going to law school. So that'll be neat. So I may see if I can get a story about Justin, maybe use that on Longhorn Lowdown. We'll see. But anyway, so that'll be fun. So look forward to that next week on the radio show on the Horn. Oh, and by the way, and we'll remind you this throughout the night, today, if you are in the state of Texas, today is the beginning of early voting. Runs through October 30th, so get out and vote. Get to the polling places. I mean, today apparently was crazy, long lines. I saw something in the neighborhood of 68,000 people in Harris County down in the Houston area had voted. Wherever you are in the state of Texas, and wherever you are around the U.S., if it is early voting time in your area, go out and vote. Get out and vote. It's been said 1,000 times, 1,000 million times. Your voice does not get heard unless you vote. So get out and vote. Do your civic duty. So as we await Justin Simmons, because after all, Justin can't be here on time. Lord knows. I got to find out. He was doing high school football up at Globe Life Park, the former stadium of the Texas Rangers, Major League Baseball. Globe Life Field is being used right now for the National League Championship Series, and it'll be for the World Series as well. Kind of ironic because the Houston Astros are in the ALCS. So if they get past Tampa Bay, how crazy it will be, how much Ranger fans will grit their teeth at the sight of the Astros competing for a World Series championship. And there is Justin wearing the colors, wearing our shirt, our old shirt. Isn't he looking sharp? So is it like, as he walks up,
like, is it really our old shirt if we've only ever made 2 shirts?
It's version 1. Let's call it version
V1?
1. Let's go V1. Like Matt Hardy, V1. How you doing?
Let's see. I've been traveling a lot this week, so it's nice to be back in town, but
that's good.
I've been trying to put together something for YouTube that's not wrestling related.
Which reminds me, I forgot to get the DX thing we were talking about. I was so busy. I'll give it for next week.
Oh, it's all good. But I was just trying to figure out something. When I was putting the script together, I've been not just like today. I've been working on this thing for like weeks already.
Okay.
And I'm just like frustrated with it because it's like it's not good enough. Like
right.
I know it's not good. It's like it
I get there.
I don't know about you, but like, do you get to that point where you do something and it's like it really is like it's passable? Like you can, but you're like it's still not good enough.
Right. But and what's worse is like you have no other recourse than to use that because it's good enough because you don't have the time or luxury to get it up to what you want.
I know, but that's the problem with this is that I'm not getting
sure, so you can.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not getting paid for this. So technically speaking, it can turn into a finite, infinite loop, if you will.
Right. Well, and that's part of the deal is that you have to be. I guess you have to be cognizant of the fact that if you keep saying, well, this could be better, you can this could be better until.
But my problem is that I am aware of that, and that's what's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Because it's like, don't be that way, and it's like I can't help that.
How was Globe Life Park?
Actually, what's the old one? That's where it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the park.
Yeah,
Okay.
park.
I get them so confused.
It's okay. Well, A, they have the same name. B, they're next door to each other. So
And I also made that mistake too because I went to go take a picture and I was like, wait a minute, we're not at this park, and then like literally crossed the street to the center field
it's
entrance.
Basically Globe Life Park, Texas Live, Globe Life Field.
Well, that was the first time I've ever been in the suites.
Yeah.
At Major League Ballpark because we were broadcasting like from the 50-yard line, which happened to be like suite 230 or something like that. So I can see like you get an abundance.
What was the XFL team in Dallas?
The Desperados. Yeah. And it's interesting if you walk through the concourses. I wish I would have taken some more photos or had taken any photos. I was just focused on work, but like they had like Desperado signage.
Oh yeah,
still around.
Of course.
The park. Well, I figured they would just take all that stuff out since the league is defunct.
Well,
Technically
I was going to say it's not defunct. The Rock says it's coming back in 22?
Yeah, 2022.
Yeah, so maybe it's going to be there.
They own all those things,
and they're focusing on getting Globe Life Field ready for the NLCS.
Oh, that's right.
Braves and who's in it? Braves and somebody.
Not the Dodgers.
It might be.
I don't know, man. I really don't watch much baseball.
I just know that I just know Ranger fans are going to. I just mentioned Ranger fans are going to be really, really miffed if the Astros end up contending for a world title.
Oh, yeah.
in their ballpark.
Oh yeah, I hate the Astros.
Yeah,
bunch of cheaters.
Bunch of damn cheaters.
I mean, like not just like alleged cheaters, but like
they've been it's 2017.
Yeah,
we get it. So.
People get salty when you bring that up.
Though.
From Houston, they're just like, so what? I was like, but you guys cheated. So what? I'm like, but you guys were caught cheating.
They were caught. That's the problem.
It's different when you're not caught cheating.
Right. I mean, there's always a little chicanery.
I mean, you think that they can actually complete what the New England Patriots had failed to complete after their cheating scandal?
We'll see.
That was
last night. They were having problems with Rays last night, so we'll see. I don't know.
One can only hope.
And again, I can't. For the life of me, I can't remember who it is. If you're watching us on Twitter or on not Twitter, on YouTube,
you can follow us on Twitter at SGTW ATX.
By the way, Russell McDougal says, "What's up?" So
what's up, Russ?
What's up, Russell? Thanks for joining us. If you know who the Braves are playing in the NLCS, let us know.
Also, Russ, Stu has this finite belief that baby faces are dead. There's no such thing. I want to know your take.
Yeah, let us know. We'll read it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think they're dead. I just think nobody uses them.
There
anymore.
You go. It's to me, it's essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing.
So
did you tell everybody the big news already this week?
About Drew?
Yes. Did you
It's
tell
in the
Russ?
can.
Russ, did you hear?
Yes. Hopefully, Russ, you heard. Yes, I did tell him it's already in the can, ready to go for the podcast and the radio show tomorrow night.
How cool was that?
It was fun.
Now,
it was fun.
Like, was it some ungodly hour?
What do you mean?
Like, 5:30 in the morning,
No.
6:30, something Eastern time.
No, we did it.
Something on like WWE schedule because he has to get like 50 of those things knocked out of the way.
Friday. It was at 8:30 in the morning.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah, so I got the email and it offered about 10 to 12 10-minute slots from. It was all Eastern, so 9 a.m. Eastern till about 11:30 a.m. Eastern, and they said pick your top 3 preferred.
But that's
I just said I'll take any that you give me, but just for the sake of it, here's my top 3. And I actually got my second choice.
Oh, that's cool. But man,
and it was good.
That's a long day for the champ.
And they gave me 15 minutes with him.
That's crazy.
Because apparently one had ended early, so got 15 minutes.
We're just out of questions. How can you possibly be out of questions for the WWE champion?
I don't know. Well, let's think about this for a second. WWE, as you often say, they are a TV company that does a show about pro wrestling.
Exactly.
So they get lots of people that want to talk to them that aren't necessarily wrestling sites. They're getting like Entertainment Tonight and E and that type of, along with wrestling shows like Us, Busted Open, Hall of Fame with Booker T. They also get ESPN, Sports Illustrated, those guys. Our good friend Justin Barrasso. So, the fact that I got 15 minutes with the champ.
Exactly.
It was great. And like I said, Drew was great. He and I have we've run into each other in the past. So it was neat.
That's given us one AEW TNT champion, one Intercontinental champion from the WWE that we've had. That will also give us and one former world champ at this point. Now.
Right.
But
AJ
this
Styles was a former champ, and no, he's not Universal, but he's been a former world champ.
Yes.
We had Samoa Joe. We've had now Drew, Jeff Hardy. I'm trying to remember who else from WWE.
Oh, just from WWE.
Yeah. Now, if you look at title holders, oh, good Lord.
Yeah, I was just thinking, because I was thinking about all the NWA title holders and all those people. I was like, wow, that's a lot when you really think about like how many champions we've had on this show.
We've had at least 8 different NWA world champions.
Classic ones, too.
Yes. I mean, that's, including Sting.
How many Olympic champions have we had on this show, or Olympic athletes? I know we've had
Mark
Roop,
Henry.
and we've had Roop, so that's 2.
Yes, Bob Roop.
But it's just crazy to think about those type of things. It's like, man, like you talk about the eclectic mix of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Like there are so many variables when it comes to it.
I mean, we've had several Impact World Champions. We've had Ring of Honor World Champions.
Yeah, because you talked to Matt Taven, right?
Talked to Taven. Talked to Jay Lethal.
Oh, multiple times.
Talked to both Briscoes.
Yep.
Who else?
So those
Good
are tag
Lord.
and a world champion right there.
Oh, yeah.
For ROH.
Yeah. We've had a lot of gold on this show.
Yeah, for real. I mean, not even to mention Dustin, because that's like a former Intercontinental champion.
Yes.
Plus tag champion.
Yes.
Plus
tagged with Steamboat, tagged with Wyndham.
And didn't he have a U.S. title run as well?
He did. He certainly did. So
wow, I was just like, it's just crazy to think.
Yeah,
about
we've
that.
had some good people on our show. So, all right, so let's get going with the draft reaction, and we'll kind of go from there. I already told him we're going to plan a podcast only segment on AEW, since they are celebrating 1 year on TNT with AEW Dynamite. So we'll hit that. So I'll fire off and we'll get going.
This is your WWE champion, Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling.
Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the horn. Stu Myrick, Justin the Smash Simmons joins us.
How can you not help but mark out? There's the WWE champion saying the show's name.
Yes.
That is so crazy, isn't
And
it?
you just heard, if you're listening on the radio show, you just heard me ask Drew to do that for us. So got the liner, and that, of course, since that was last Friday, I've had time to turn it into a rejoin. So there you go.
So how surreal is it? I mean, and don't get me wrong, we were talking about this on the live show.
Yeah, on the YouTube, yeah.
How much gold has been on this show? Like how many competitors have held gold? But to have the reigning WWE champion,
Yes,
like
the
how
current reigning and defending WWE champion.
like how surreal is that?
It's pretty cool. I will say that. I mean, it's Drew, and I've met Drew before, so
Yeah,
it was neat to have him on just because I like him. He's a genuinely good guy. Our good friend Brian Fritz, our wrestling insider, he and Drew are real tight. So, in fact, when I found out I was talking to Drew, that was one of the first guys I told was Brian.
That's so cool.
So, but yeah, so we've had a reigning WWE champion, we've had a reigning Ring of Honor champion, we've had the reigning Impact champion, we've had a reigning NWA champion.
Pretty much got them all.
Multiple times. The only one we're missing is Moxley. So,
Well, I mean, we haven't talked to Naito.
but Moxley doesn't do much media. So,
And we haven't talked to Naito.
And we haven't talked tonight. We haven't talked tonight.
But we have a liner from Tanahashi.
We do have a liner from Tanahashi.
Which is
yes.
so cool.
Yes. And we'll get to this in the podcast only segment. But how cool was it to see Tanahashi tributing Chris Jericho?
Oh, no, that is just awesome. I keep on. I don't think they'll ever have like a real working agreement just because of the money involved.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see the crossover.
Well, we'll discuss that more in a podcast only segment later. We got to get to the WWE Draft, the reaction. I start out by saying that those that are in WWE creative, those writers, bookers, whatever, especially the ones that are putting the draft together, obviously have never seen an actual sports league draft, be it NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, because this thing was so full of lack of logic.
How so?
Well, okay, so let's for instance, you draft for Raw Monday night. You draft a group, and see, I was trying not to do another rant on them because I did a long one on the podcast only segment last week. But you draft a group whose mission is to destroy the company. You actually draft them before you draft Keith Lee.
Oh, well, yeah, I can see that. But I guess they needed to fill out the roster.
Man, you are trying. I know. I appreciate the effort there, but no.
I thought your complaint was going to be like, why are people allowed like a whole group as a draft pick?
No, that I get. That actually,
But that's
I get
like
that.
5 people.
Well, it's the stable. I mean, granted, we only have 2 stables. You got Retribution, you get the Retribution kids, and you got Hurt Business.
I know, but it's like it's
The rest of them are just tag teams.
It's
and
like-
they said a tag team can be drafted together or they can be split up.
I know, but it's like if we went to a Tex-Mex place and ordered nachos and they all stuck together and I just pulled it, that's like one nacho. See where it's
Really?
so unfair?
Okay,
You never seen Saving Silverman?
I have. I know what you're talking about. Okay. My biggest thing, of course, I knew the day would come eventually, just because we can't have nice things. But damn it, you just had to split the New Day up.
Oh, it was time.
No, it wasn't.
They're not really split up. They're just on different shows.
They're on different shows. I get that. But it was just so weird not seeing Big E with Xavier Woods in Kofi Kingston Monday Night on Raw.
Well, I'm sure that there will be crossover at some
Yes,
point because
they
there
will,
always is.
because they break their own rules all the time. But still, it kind of sucks. I was not happy with that.
I don't think anybody was necessarily happy, but if it leads to big things for Big E and for them to have another WWE champion in their ranks, I guess this would be the Universal Champion in this case.
I still say to this day, he could still have the big things happening and still be a part of the New Day, just like Kofi did.
But technically speaking, he still is. He's just
I know.
for right now at least. Unless
hopefully they keep it like that, where they don't try to like change him completely. And
I don't think they could turn him straight heel like that because
No.
he just has they sell
he
too
is
much merch.
He is way too entertaining to do that. So at least they better not. We had a couple of returns over the course of Friday and Monday, one of which I guess made sense because it was about time. Maybe he healed. The other one, I thought he was already released. Lars Sullivan.
Oh,
I didn't know he still worked for the company.
Yeah, me too. I was thought he had like not heat necessarily, but a lot of. I don't know
There
how
was
to
some bad
explain it.
stuff that had come out about his personal belief system and some maybe less than stellar conduct.
Yeah, there you go. I guess that's
especially online.
Yeah, that's a good way to explain it. So yeah, I thought he was just in the doghouse for a really long time and not fully released.
Well, and then as soon as he showed up on SmackDown, another example shows up. If you believe the rumor and innuendo, where he sent some inappropriate messages to a young lady. So it's kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, I don't know. This seems like a case of they should have just cut their losses a year ago.
I mean,
but
they keep on trying to push him. I don't remember seeing him in NXT. It's just been the WWE landscape changes so quickly now. Like, I know he appeared, but I really can't recall much about him because
well, he was in NXT. Then he got moved to, I think it was SmackDown, and he was for some reason feuding with Lucha House Party before all the stuff came out, and he basically disappeared.
Yeah. You think this was his last go? If this allegation rings true?
If this rings true, I would be shocked if he sees the WWE ring again.
But even then, do you think he find like a spot somewhere on the scene, or we'll have like a Joey Ryan situation where it's like
I don't know.
Essentially, you should just be blackballed from the company, like from.
That's the thing. I don't know if it's because right now it's just social media posts and texts. So I don't know. So, but yeah, that was a surprise return. Elias showed up Monday night on Raw.
I like how they tied everything in storyline wise for him.
True, except for the fact that Jeff Hardy didn't run him over.
But he thinks that.
I get that. So
because we really don't even know who drove the car.
We still don't.
It could have been Sheamus.
Which, good Lord, that was.
It could have been the Undertaker.
No, it wasn't the Undertaker, because he said it had red hair. Undertaker
could have been the Undertaker.
Undertaker doesn't have red hair anymore.
You're like anymore, but I was like,
yeah,
could have been.
He didn't
Undertaker.
have red hair then.
It could have been somebody wearing an Undertaker mask from 1995. But I can't think of anybody else that has red hair on the roster.
Now, here's something that's going to. So all these sites and the experts that chronicle title lineage in professional wrestling. How about this little monkey wrench? So, the New Day, who win the SmackDown Tag Team titles from Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura Friday night on SmackDown, they get drafted to Raw. The Street Profits, who are the Raw Tag Team champions, get drafted to SmackDown. So how do they resolve this little conundrum? Adam Pearce, Scrap Iron, former NWA World Champion, now WWE official, gets both teams in the back, says, why don't you guys just swap titles? And that was it.
Yeah.
So now now New Day are your Raw Tag Team champions, and the Street Profits are your SmackDown Tag Team titles champions.
Yeah.
Now, here's a couple things. Let's just take this to the extreme. So now, that should mean another title reign.
Yeah.
Which means the New Day have now passed the Dudleys for most WWE Tag Team title reigns. They now have 10. And the Street Profits have achieved the Triple Crown in tag team wrestling in WWE. NXT, Raw, and now SmackDown.
I'm not sure if you want to count it as a true reign or if it's just going to be like a carryover reign with a swap of a transfer.
That's why those that do lineages and such are going to have a field day with this.
Which one do you think it is? You think it's a separate reign?
I call it a separate reign.
I mean, they are separate titles.
They are.
I mean, it's just a really weird technicality to have it as a separate reign, but I mean, it makes sense.
Just like Triple H getting handed the World Heavyweight Championship back in the day when they reintroduced the big gold belt.
I mean, yeah, because I was going to say, well, there was an actual match though when Hogan did it when he had the finger poke of doom.
No, I'm talking. This was WWE.
But I know this one's WWE where he just gets handed the belt.
And that was the finger poke of doom. That was still technically a match.
Yeah,
it was a farce,
but it was a match.
And it was one of those storylines that helped kill WCW. Hint, hint. WWE. Don't do farcical storylines. But still, that's what I'll say. Interesting that they decided to take whole storylines and basically just shift brands with them.
Yeah, that's what I thought that was the most interesting. But it kind of proves to my theory that they already think that most people that want to watch like one thing of WWE probably don't commit to both shows.
Which is interesting. So you got Seth Rollins get drafted to SmackDown, then soon thereafter, Ray and Dominic go to SmackDown. Oh, and by the way, Murphy's going to SmackDown too.
How convenient.
How convenient. You got Kevin Owens and Aleister Black going to SmackDown from Raw. Mm-hmm. And then you got The Fiend and Alexa Bliss going from SmackDown to Raw.
Who made a good entrance last night.
Interesting. Yeah, real interesting. Oh, by the way, Nikki Cross got drafted to Raw too, because they've got a. Well, I guess they don't because it's WWE. They can drop things whenever. But one would think logically you have to tie up that story too. Nikki Cross, best friend of Alexa Bliss.
Well, maybe she comes back and helps her see the way.
It's possible. We'll see. But anyway, that was kind of weird. That was kind of weird. You saw just basically it wasn't like a, you think when WWE Draft happens, you think they'll change things up to get fresh stories and such. No, they just basically took, what was it? Simon Miller on What Culture was talking about. It's like that claw game that you play as a kid where you reach the claw, grab something, and it just moves. That's basically what they did.
Yeah. Because I mean, one would think that the whole Rey Mysterio, Dominic, Seth Rollins storyline carries over, whereas like the Fiend doing Fiend things pretty much picks up where it left off on Raw.
Now I will say, I'm still not a fan of the Fiend. Not really, not much. I will say, I'll give them this. The sight of seeing Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss doing stereo Sister Abigail's, that was somewhat neat.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. And I think...
And Alexa Bliss really picked that move up quickly, didn't she?
For real. But I think the best thing that could have happened in this case is that he got moved over, and that whole act is moved over to Raw, because on cable, with a prime time slot, one that's later in the evening, you can be more sinister, and that character can be darker and edgier.
Yeah, although being on Fox, there's not much of a difference there,
Slightly, though.
Slightly.
As opposed to,
it's not like, say, being on ABC or CBS.
Yeah, but it's different from 9 o'clock to 8 o'clock.
There's a little bit of a difference going from OTA to cable channel. I get that.
I just think he'll have a little bit more leeway cable-wise just because they have such a long relationship with the USA Network.
True. Very true. I mentioned earlier the Retribution kids, again, in the most unlogical move. I mean, this is kind of like, you remember, what was it, 3-4 years ago, NFL Draft. Mm-hmm. Laramie Tunsil coming out of Miami. And right before he's supposed to go, maybe second round, I think the Titans were looking at him.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden that picture gets publicized of him wearing the gas mask, smoking weed.
Yeah.
And his stock dropped tremendously.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got a group that allegedly their mission is to destroy the entire company.
Yes. Well, just the Raw brand.
Well, no, they state when they first came on, they stated they wanted to destroy WWE. They premiered on the Raw brand, and it ended up being solely to the Raw brand. So then, if you believe the storyline, the USA Network executives and WWE people decided, hey, we need to spend a draft pick on Retribution.
That's true. I mean, they probably would have just shown up anyways, but okay.
Again, one of many logic pratfalls for the Retribution kids.
But when you really think about it, though, even though they're causing all this havoc and stuff, it really is the message might be different, but the acts, the juvenile acts, because they are rather juvenile when you really break it down.
Why do you think I call them Retribution kids?
But it's so different than what DX did, even though they were a faction signed within the company. And I understand that they debuted as like what seemed to be like some radicalized group, but obviously now they're really toning it down on that front, as they rightfully should.
Right. But come on, you can't compare Retribution to Degeneration X.
Well, I'm not trying to compare.
Degeneration X was just there to be, be nuisances and annoyances and other words that I can't say on radio.
Yeah, but I mean, like in a really roundabout way. I mean, Retribution's no different. They're just being nuances to that one brand. They're just causing like a little bit of undressly rest, but it's nothing so dramatic that where it's going to get over.
Except DX never stated outright they want to destroy WWE.
Oh, yeah.
Retribution stated they want to destroy WWE.
And the Sheik wanted to destroy Hulk Hogan. I mean, he wasn't being literal about it. He just wanted to win.
That's one person. That's an opponent. Of course, you want to destroy your opponent.
Yeah.
You don't want to destroy the whole company. NWO wanted to destroy WCW. And they did it right. They went about it the right way. Just getting everybody. Don't get me into my rant again. We got stuff to talk about.
I was like, WCW only had 2 shows, but I get what you're saying.
Stop. They didn't do separate brands, though. It was just 2 shows, the same thing.
So why have like a draft and have people undrafted?
By the way,
it's like not like you have a set of rounds because you own the company. You can have as many rounds as you want.
And again, we mentioned lack of logic. Not only did Retribution get drafted before Keith Lee, you had like Titus O'Neil, who is a fantastic ambassador for WWE, but I think has had 2 matches all of 2020. He got drafted, but Andrade didn't.
I mean, the sayings have been that Vince isn't high on Andrade, and which is a shame because I like Andrade.
It is a shame.
But
could we see him go back to NXT?
Probably. That's where it looks like. I thought that's what was going to happen to all the people that were undrafted because they start kind of thinning them out. Like people start getting signed.
Well, think about Mickie James did not get drafted.
Yeah. But I mean, Chad Gable got signed to SmackDown.
Chad Gable got signed to SmackDown.
But he wasn't drafted.
and Lindsay Dorado got signed to Raw, so they're taken care of. Well, and they had said that those that get undrafted can sign as free agents, like what we see with the NFL, undrafted free agents. You had Eric of the Viking Raiders signed to Raw, but not Ivar. Ivar wasn't even in the draft pool.
Well, yeah, but he's hurt.
So is Eric.
I think Eric will probably come back before Ivar.
You had Billy Kay, Tamina, and Zelina Vega signed to SmackDown. Speaking of which, so here were the wrestlers that were not even in the draft pools. Becky Lynch,
understandable.
I get make stands. Ivar, who we've heard he will come back eventually.
Yeah, but I mean, he just
and for the love of God, don't you dare split up the Viking Raiders.
Well, I mean, if it leads to a good singles run for either one of those 2 competitors, I mean, but why not? I mean, if Eric Rowe, right?
Eric Rowe?
I was going to say Eric Rowe. I could just combine them, bro.
Eric Ray Rowe. Yeah. Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso wasn't even in the draft pool.
Oh, he was so beat up. How could he be?
You're thinking Jay.
I know. I'm just playing.
By the way, Jay got drafted.
Oh, where did he get drafted to?
SmackDown? He's back at where is it? He is on SmackDown.
Yeah. He was a 3rd round pick.
Yeah. On Friday. Bo Dallas, which we have no idea what's going on with him. Everybody thought he was going to be the one that was doing the on the motorcycle leading up to NXT TakeOver, but it ended up being Ember Moon.
I mean, which was a cool spot for Ember Moon.
Yeah, but a lot of people thought it would be Bo Dallas, former champion, coming back.
Would have made sense.
Mojo Rawley. We haven't seen him since, WrestleMania?
Gronkowski.
Yeah, Gronk left. Maybe he took Mojo with him to Tampa Bay?
I mean, he took Mojo's push with him. That's what he took.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm sure that they had like a great plan. Well, let me scale back those words real fast. I'm sure that they had something lined up that they wanted to do between the
great
2.
Plan.
It probably wouldn't. Yeah, it probably wouldn't have been as great as I make it seem.
Yeah,
but I could have seen where they would have had them work together, then turn on each other or something.
Right. By the way, they need to find a way to give an Emmy to Ricochet for that beautiful Eddie Guerrero tribute chair spot. I mean, did you see the feint he did? He tosses the chair to Cedric Alexander.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
It was a perfectly timed Eddie Guerrero chair shot fake with the Will
with
French.
the hand. I mean, this is better than any NBA flop.
It was like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yes.
I was just like, perfect.
Oh,
It was really well done. I mean, it's such a fitting tribute to a man that would have had, his 59th birthday? Or
53.
53.
Yeah.
I keep on forgetting how young he was.
Yeah. Yeah, scary. Only a year older than me. So, and by the way, quick update. Finn Balor underwent surgery to repair his broken jaw that he suffered at NXT TakeOver 31.
But he's still champion.
He is still champion. As far as we know, he won't have to give the belt up. Let's hope. We're going to start calling it the NXT title curse.
For real.
You
I
know,
mean, he's
Karrion Kross and now Finn.
see, and this kind of goes back to I was thinking about that today. It's like, I'm with Bret Hart on this. I always felt that the real art of professional wrestling was to make it look as real as possible with being as safe.
Don't make it real. Don't make it as real as possible.
Exactly.
Just make it look as real. Yeah.
And I understand that the strong style has its fans, and
Yeah.
rightfully so. I mean, a good hard-hitting match is a good hard-hitting match, but, I mean, you want these people to be able to compete the next night.
That's true. That's very true. We're going to take a quick time out. As I mentioned, we are going to do a podcast-only segment where we talk AEW Dynamite celebrating 1 year, and we'll take a look back at last week's AEW Dynamite. But coming up, we will let you know what's happening this weekend in independent wrestling, plus a couple of notes, and we'll let you know what's happening in football this weekend on the Horn. You're listening to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the Horn. All right, that was 23-18. Oh. I'll give Raw. It was actually a halfway decent show. It flowed well, had some decent matches.
I mean,
The draft was just the only illogical part about it. By the way, I didn't even realize it until this morning. Retribution wasn't even there.
yeah, no, they weren't there at all.
Thank God. It was like, wow.
Well, they didn't know what brand they were going to be on, so they didn't show up.
Well, I thought maybe they got grounded for something. Mom took away the keys to the minivan.
No, I mean, Mustafa Ali obviously has a minivan.
Well, now that he's part of the Retribution kids, he gets grounded too.
I mean, he might have a shuttle van.
It's
He's the
guilty by
boss.
association.
They might
No, Mom's the boss. Come on.
She's a mom.
Mom's the boss.
Oh, I mean, Ali's the boss.
No, Mom. Just ask Trent on AEW. Sue's the boss.
For them, for the best friends. I don't know, man.
They should model themselves after the best friends.
No, I think Retribution will pan out decently at
You got
some
more-
point in time.
Like I said, you got more faith than me.
Well, eventually they'll take him out of the silly mask and
Ooh.
remove the weird names.
Jets released running back Le'Veon Bell. Ooh, Le'Veon Bell's on the. By the way, did you see who the Cowboys signed as a third-string quarterback?
No,
Lake Travis Cavalier, great Garrett Gilbert.
really?
Yes.
Well, good for Gilbert.
Yeah, he has a Super Bowl ring
Yeah.
with the Patriots. Lee Steinberg's his manager.
Oh, okay.
Or his
Agent.
Manager. Good Lord. Yeah, Lee Steinberg. So.
Well, he probably won't be getting a Super Bowl ring with the Cowboys this year.
No. God. Oh, that killed me. Oh, I almost cried.
Dak, I hope you recover well.
Yeah. We were praying for you, Dak. All right, let's do the podcast only.
Hey, it's Tony Schiavone, and you're listening to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling.
Sports Guys Talking Wrestling podcast only segment. Stu Myrick, Justin the Smash Simmons. I love that theme.
It's a good theme.
It's a really good theme. I hope Tony Schiavone's doing well. You know, he got super kicked by the Young Bucks. I don't know what's in there. What has gone wrong with those boys? So AEW Dynamite. Can you believe it has been a year?
That's crazy, man. I didn't think it's been that long. And we've already
First
seen one
match
show.
was Cody and Sammy, right?
I think that was the first main event.
Yeah.
It wasn't the very first match, was it?
On Dynamite? It seems like it's been so long ago.
I mean,
Of course, we've had a lot happen in the last 12 months, but still.
and for that to be part of their first year, I mean, that's also part of the story, which is so crazy, because there's a lot of stuff that happened that probably would not have happened had it not been the world being the way it is right now.
Yeah,
COVID.
you think about all the moments that have happened so far since March. What would have happened in front of a live crowd and
where they would have gone with certain things,
like Matt Hardy showing up, like Matt Corona, Brody Lee, FTR.
I mean, you probably still had, what was her name, as women's champion.
Riho?
Yeah.
Well, Riho had lost the title right before that because remember she lost the title here in Austin.
Yes,
to Nyla.
Yes, but I'm saying that she probably still would have been part of the hunt.
Yeah, I mean we haven't seen. Yeah, she's been stuck in Japan, so we haven't seen her. What do you think of Hikaru Shida defending against Big Swole tomorrow night?
That should be an interesting match.
That will be a fun one.
Just because everybody, or at least I know we've been talking about it, that Swole had deserved a title shot for a long time already since she's been on the roster for a while.
Yeah.
But
I gotta admit, I think I'm rooting for Swole a little bit.
Oh yeah, I mean I
like them both, but I don't know.
I mean, everybody's always wanting to see somebody achieve their dream. If you're just a fan of the wrestlers themselves, at least for the. I'm not saying you have to be a fan of every wrestler, but
right.
I mean them as a person. If they're a good person and you see them pay their dues and such, you just want them to achieve their dream. But at the same token, there's also times where it can be detrimental because they might not be ready. They might still have a couple of things that they need to iron out in their game.
True.
I'm not saying that's necessarily Swole's thing. I'm just saying that, sometimes a bad title run can just stunt your career more than an early title run could give you momentum for your career.
Look at Bray Wyatt in WWE when he was WWE champion. Saying it's there you go. There's your example.
I was thinking more Diesel 1995.
Yeah, that too.
Like there was like, oh man, he couldn't do anything to save that company. Not there in that time period.
What did you think of the dog collar match last week, Brody Lee and Cody?
It's good that they brought out something that we haven't seen in quite a long time.
I can't remember the last dog collar match I saw. I mean, it's been since '83, although that's the most famous one, the first Starrcade.
But even then, it's like I can't think of one of any reputable note since then.
Not like that. I mean, that was
where they're beating the living out of each other like that.
Yes, that was brutal. It was really neat to see Greg the Hammer Valentine in the crowd.
Yeah, one of those guys that comes from one of those iconic.
From the classic iconic. The one with Piper at Starrcade 83.
Yeah, the one where he loses his eardrum.
Yeah.
I was like, I get it, man. Those guys really beat the hell out of each other. But
not to mention when I saw him, I'm thinking, I need to get to Cauliflower Alley Club next year. Nothing else, go have some more beers with the Hammer.
Well, I mean, like if that's allowed to go on, I mean, it would have gone.
Assuming
on
it's
this
allowed
year.
to go on, yeah, it'll be in late April. So
we say the same thing about the Hall of Fame too. It's like, we would have been there if hadn't been for COVID.
Yeah, but it was what a match. I will be honest, I'm a little surprised they gave the title back to Cody, but it makes sense. I want to see what they do with Brody and Dark Order going forward.
I was like, Cody changed his hair color, so he had to get the belt back.
This is true. Now, he had a tweet earlier today. Basically, it's blondes have more fun. I'm wondering if maybe we see blonde again tomorrow. I hope not. He has switched it that quickly before.
Oh, well, yeah.
But, I mean, because his natural hair color is brown. So.
Yeah. I was going to say he's always had dark hair. The blonde thing was just like a switch.
Yeah, he switched it. When was that? Oh, I think it was during his Ring of Honor run. It was before All In. I want to say it was during his Ring of Honor run. He switched to blonde. So,
I just know it came during the tattoo.
It came which tattoo?
The neck tattoo.
Oh, it came long after. The neck tattoo just happened a couple months ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He still was blonde during the neck tattoo.
Yeah.
Which is also part of their lineage.
Yes.
During this 1 year anniversary of AEW Dynamite.
Yeah. But yeah, just a fantastic match, just brutal. And in the promo he cut afterwards, It was classic Cody, and you expect nothing else. It was interesting where he went with that promo, because a lot of people were talking about him turning heel and, forming a new generation of the Four Horsemen or whatever. And he kind of basically put that to rest, So interesting that he went there. So, which was your favorite Jericho video tribute? I mean, mine was Tanahashi. We talked about it in the last segment on the radio show.
Well, yeah,
Tanahashi was with the New Japan logo behind him. I will say Ultimo Guerrero, seeing him, Ultimo Dragon, seeing him. All I can think about him and Sonny Ono with those nine title belts that he would carry to the ring on Nitro.
But no, I mean, Tanahashi was pretty much the highlight for me.
That was
because it was so unexpected.
Yeah.
But then you saw just how many people he's worked with throughout his career, though, that the ones that they could get on.
Yeah.
That were able to do part of the tribute.
Oh,
it was
absolutely.
Just okay. I thought they were just going to be joking, but no, they really did get a bunch of names out there.
They did. They really did.
But I mean, when you think back in through a year of what they brought you as a show, I mean, how is that from an industry standpoint? What are some of the more memorable angles that have taken place thus far? What has been some of the most impressive things that you've seen within 1 year of something that when you think back of how this started, it's just so surreal that it even happened?
It is surreal that it's even happened. I would think the commitment to tag team wrestling. We were just talking on the radio show about tag team splitting up in WWE. They kept splitting tag teams. I think they're down to 4 on Raw. Yet AEW, they've got it's kind of like what we saw with Ring of Honor a couple years ago. Ring of Honor was in that same state where they had tag teams coming out of their ears. And then you add the New Japan, contingent with all of their tag teams. I mean, it was a tag team wrestling lover's dream.
Yeah, it made for a good tag team scene.
It did.
But I mean,
the TNT title, I think that has added quite a bit. It's kind of given that it brought back that open challenge thing that John Cena did with the U.S. title on Raw and SmackDown. We're seeing that with the TNT. He said when he won it, he's bringing back the open challenge. In fact, tomorrow night, him and Orange Cassidy. And I hope we see more of maybe we'll see more guys that aren't with AEW that get cracks. Whether heck, have EC3 show up, have who else? Have Effie show up. Some of the Chris Dickinson have let's get Zicky Dice from NWA, the current TV champion.
At what point because it has been a year and we've already seen this open challenge thing once already, and we've seen people like Ricky Starks take those moments and get signed.
Yep.
And then not everybody's going to be Ricky, though, where they get pushed into a pretty prominent role after appearing.
Right.
But my question is, at what point do the fans want to stop seeing some new people and kind of see them flesh out more of what they have and put the ones that they already had into more prominent positions going forward?
Right. I get that. I know
you always have to be replenishing, but at the same token, you don't want to kind of miss the boat on somebody that you already have.
There is a balance they should strike, and I think from what we saw, I think they will. I really do, because you look at who they had. They did it with Ricky right before he signed. They did it with Eddie Kingston.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? There was 2 or 3 others, but they still had. Those were spotted with several AEW signed talent. So I think if they can find a way to find that balance, maybe one every 3 to 4 weeks, bring in somebody that, isn't signed, that, isn't signed anywhere. Hey, Jeff Cobb's a free agent.
I mean, he was looking good during his run right now in New
Right
Japan.
now, yeah, of course he's competing in the G1, but he would be good, obviously. As I said, Chris Dickinson, you got Effie, Mance Warner.
Yeah, and they're pretty high on Mance Warner.
Yeah,
from what
as far as I know,
Twitter.
Mance is a free agent. I don't think he's signed with MLW anymore. So there's that. I mean, it'll be. I think if they can find a way, like I said, they have to be careful. But yeah, I think it's easily doable.
Maybe,
So.
but I mean, it is a 2-hour show.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. You space it out over the course of several weeks.
And I know you get dark. I mean, is the answer to have another show to add to the AEW experience?
I mean, there is talk that they are going to have a second show. I don't think it's going to be another it's not going to be a SmackDown to the Raw.
Yeah.
It's not going to be their SmackDown. It's going to be something different. So, it's one of those things. The old saying: you always leave them wanting more. So, tomorrow night, Jon Moxley defends the AEW World Championship against Lance Archer. In addition to the Hiroshi Tanahashi tribute, we saw lots of stills from their match at Wrestle Kingdom when Lance Archer was the IWGP United States champion. I mean, so of course that led to a lot of speculation about could we see some sort of working agreement between AEW and New Japan. Which, look, I've read a lot of reports, and I'm of the belief that that's the reason why they made the change in management, is because they need a bigger presence in the United States. As great as NJPW World is, it's not enough. It's not a TV deal. And so could we see it? Even if it's just, again, once in a blue moon, have, I don't know, Okada show up. Maybe have like the Never Openweight champion show up. Kind of like what they did with Thunder Rosa in the NWA Women's World title.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think you would get like the grade A superstar from New Japan showing up on AEW television.
Because they'll save that for, because Ring of Honor and New Japan still have their relationship.
Yeah, but I do think that you would see somebody like in the mid-tier
pop
up or a Super Junior pop up.
Yeah, easily.
To kind of, which brings me to ask. I know that a lot of the guys that are on the AEW roster aren't necessarily big guys. Is a cruiserweight title of some sort something that you think that they need?
No, because they don't have enough of a heavyweight. Because everybody,
I know,
a huge chunk of their roster would be considered cruiserweights.
Yeah.
So no
necessary pecking order.
No, I think they're just about right as far as titles go. You got the world title, you got the TNT title, women's title, tag titles.
So from year one going into year two of Dynamite, I mean, what really needs to happen for them to make it a better product, for their product to continue their upswing?
I think, the biggest criticism right now is still the women's division. That needs to get better, and I think they're working at it. It's just taking time.
But is any promotion ever fully well-rounded, like at every division that's on their
Lord,
card?
No, of course not.
I mean, it's just like there's
always going to be somebody's. There's going to be a deficit somewhere.
Yeah, it's like a winning team of any team sport. There's always going to be something that's lacking.
They could improve. I mean, that's probably the biggest improvement right now would be the women's division, whether it's signing other talent or what have you. But that would be a big one.
Who's going to become who's going to be their next tag team champion within the year?
Okay, so that would be so now it's kind of who do you see taking the titles off of FTR?
Yeah.
Which
is that going to happen within the year?
I would say by the end of 2020. By the end of 2020, I don't think so.
I mean, at the anniversary of the next AEW Dynamite.
Okay, by October of 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody will. I could, in fact. I mean, most everybody will pick this. I'll say the same. They will eventually get to the Young Bucks.
I mean, that's the money match, right? And it's just like, how do you feel about? I kind of feel like they're kind of doing us a disservice, though.
What do you mean?
like, again, everybody has finite bumps, and everybody,
You've said this, you've said this before about they're not striking while the iron's hot.
Yeah, it kind of gives me, and let me finish on this real
Go
quick.
ahead.
It gives me those Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan vibes from the WWF. I mean, you could have easily put the match together. You could have had nobody win the match, but you could have put them in the ring. And you would have had all the eyes of the industry on the match, because it would be the first time you would have had the two titans of the industry in North America go against each other because they were under the same promotion.
Yeah.
And they didn't give us the match. They didn't give it to us. They put it on the house circuit, but they didn't give it to the public. Like, I didn't know that match existed until 2012.
You talking about Hogan Flair?
Yeah,
Okay,
they had house matches.
They were doing the house matches, and then they decided it wasn't worth putting it on TV. Yeah, that was silly and stupid. And I will say this. I get long-term storytelling, but I'm still trying to figure out what they're doing with the Bucks.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess this is a heel turn, but we don't see them much. And I would say that's another thing they need to fix. It's kind of it's the criticism of, if you're going to incorporate stuff on BTE and on your YouTube channel, you need to make sure at least pieces of that get to TV, because not everybody watches everything that's out there on social media and TV. Some people just watch the TV show.
Yeah, like me. And I'm always very surprised, like, how can you not have your main stars on this show, but you have them all get together for the social media stuff?
Right.
And that's so perplexing, because you're not paying for time on social media. You didn't fight to get a social media spot. You guys already had all that.
Yeah.
It's like, why isn't this on TV?
Yeah, I'm not crazy about it. Like I said, I guess I'm waiting for something with the Bucks. Again, they tell me why they are super kicking Tony Schiavone and Alex Marvez and the referee, and I don't get it.
Unless he's just saying that they want respect, but even then, it won't make much sense to me. But it all goes back to,
there are EVPs. They kind of get respect by being EVPs.
It all goes back to the fact that, like, FTR was welcomed when they first got there. They established that they were going to be bad guys when they first got there, and everybody knew that the Young Bucks were still over no matter what they do, because they own the company.
Because of the Young Bucks,
right? And that they're the Young Bucks. So it's like, why not put the match together, kind of get it into gear? And you don't have to give it to us right away. You could have carried that storyline and had them interfere with each other throughout this whole time. But you're not even telling me that they're lined up to face each other. And again, finite bumps. One guy from FTR already blew out his knee, right, in WWE. And then the Young Bucks.
Multiple times.
Exactly. And the Young Bucks, I mean, they wrestle a high-risk style offense. Anytime a move goes wrong, it could be costly and put them on a shelf for an extended period of time.
Just for reference, the next AEW pay-per-view is Full Gear on Saturday, November 7th.
I don't
Seems
know.
like a good. Does that seem too soon to do Bucks FTR, or should we wait? Or should they wait until? I guess it'd be February's Revolution.
Is that the next big show?
That would be their next pay-per-view.
I mean, yeah. I mean, hopefully by then.
If you go by what their calendar has been so far. Revolution February, Double or Nothing May, All Out.
Ooh, man, this thing
in September, and now Full Gear in November.
I can see what they might be doing though. This can wait until May.
Do it at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, because that's their big show, and that they might hope that people will be able to get back into attendance again.
That's possible, but that's a danger. Waiting to get somewhere where you can have all the fans there. We don't know when that is. That's the thing. I sit through briefings on what's happening with COVID-19 just here in the state of Texas. And I read all the stories about vaccines. They're saying they're hopeful that a vaccine could be available by end of November, but it's not guaranteed.
Oh,
and they're still in trials. And then they have to go through the FDA process, which isn't a flip of a switch.
Yeah, and we already saw Johnson & Johnson already ended their trials because of some sort of
as have AstraZeneca. It's so
it doesn't look like it's
that's
gonna
a dangerous thing to do.
Yeah, it's not. COVID obviously is something that's not going to be just easily defeated by
We're going to have to live with it, just like we used to live with chicken pox and measles and all those other diseases that you get as a kid. It's something we will have to deal with for years.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to be around for a while.
Yeah. So I got to be honest, and this is something AEW does well. Their title matches, they book them to where there is at least you do have that sliver of thinking that maybe they could change the title here. Like next week, so Lana on Raw. Lana wins that Battle Royal. She's going to face Asuka.
Yeah.
Show of hands who thinks Lana is going to become Raw Women's Champion. No. Ain't happening. There's no way on earth. But Lance Archer becoming AEW World Champ, beating Moxley? Oh, I see that. I definitely see that.
I mean, it's possible. I just don't think it was going to be the direction that they go in.
I don't think it is, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm 100% sure Asuka will still be the Raw Women's Champion.
I was going to say, yeah, of course, unless Rusev shows up to WWE and, distracts Asuka.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
I know, that's why.
That ain't happening. Because then that would make the internet melt. The Twitter would explode, would really, truly, for honest, explode. If you saw Rusev on Raw and then saw him as Miro on AEW.
That would be crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be worse than Rick Rude showing up on Raw and Nitro at the same night. So,
you
anyway.
imagine if Twitter existed then.
Whew, good Lord. All right. So, anyway, congratulations, AEW. Congratulations, Tony Khan and everybody. Our good friend Dustin Rhodes, who we need to get back on soon. Find out what's happening with the Rhodes Wrestling Academy, and we may do some reflection with him. So, we'll get him on soon.
May I say the greatest thing about Dynamite has been Le Champion, that he gave us that.
Oh God, yeah.
And he had the champagne.
He's done interviews saying that 10 years ago he was talking retirement.
Oh yeah.
And now here he is.
I know, he's still got it.
And still knocking it out of the park.
He was always talented, man.
Crazy. All right, we're going to take time out. When we come back, we will let you know what's happening in independent wrestling, and we'll let you know what's happening on the football field this weekend on the Horn. You're listening to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. Oh, all right. Let's see. For that one, last segment. Here we go.
This is international superstar Flip Gordon, and you're listening to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling.
Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the Horn. Stu Myrick, Justin Smash Simmons. Congratulations to our buddy, our friend, my veteran brother, Flip Gordon, on getting engaged.
Yeah, I saw that on the social media. So congrats to
Nice
him.
pictures. Beautiful, beautiful fiance. All the best to them. So happy for him. Young love, blossoming in fall. Gotta love it. The slate of independent wrestling this weekend is a little light, but we do have one card to let you know about. So we'll hit the music, as it is the middle of the month, which means Texoma Pro Wrestling is up with Fall Brawl this Friday at Sherman Elks Lodge in Sherman, just north of Dallas. Bell time 8 p.m. Chandler Hopkins, the Young Gun, will be there. Cam Cole, Magnificent Belico, and Adam Asher, among others. That's Texoma Pro Wrestling this Friday night in Sherman. And as I said, that's it. That's your look at independent wrestling around the area. Make sure you head out to a card near you. Next weekend, AAPW will do Hardcore Halloween. I'll let you know about that next week.
Didn't the WWE have a recent class signing for their,
yes,
and one of them happened to be
Kurt Stallion.
Exactly.
Our buddy Kurt Stallion. We see a lot at Anarchy, so congratulations, Kurt Stallion.
I know, isn't that so cool?
Retro Anthony Green, who we've seen in Wrestle Circus. Congratulations to him as well. This weekend, football on the Horn. We will start Friday night. The Lake Travis Cavaliers, 2 games. They have scored over 120 points. And they're 2-0, by the way. They will take on Hayes. They head down to Kyle to Bob Shelton Stadium to take on Hayes Friday night. It will start with Friday Night Flex with our friend Snoop Daniel at 6:45. Then our pregame starts at 7:15. Mark Honig, Bucky Godbolt in the booth, and I'll be on the sidelines. Kickoff at 7:30 p.m. Central. That'll be on the Horn. Lake Travis Cavalier football. The Longhorns are idle, thank God, because after that overtime loss to OU, we need another week. And then the Cowboys, without Dak Prescott, with the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton at QB1, will host the Cardinals Monday night. Monday Night Football, ESPN kickoff at 17:15. You can turn the sound down and turn up Brad Sham and Babe Offenberg on the Horn. And, oh, by the way, Sunday Night Football, which this week's Rams at Niners on NBC. So the Horn and NFL Alumni Austin chapter are doing a Sunday Night Football watch party. You can check it out on hornfm.com or the Horn's Facebook page. I get to host that as I am part of both the Horn and the NFL Alumni. And my special guest, one of my dearest friends, lifetime Longhorn, NFL legend at both player and coach, Super Bill Bradley, will join me. So, and yes, we will get the Farrah Fawcett story because we got to have the Farrah Fawcett story. So check that out again this Sunday night. We'll start around 7:15 on hornfm.com or the Horn Facebook page. And by the way, we will there's a link to where you can win a 58-inch JVC TV. We'll give that away at the end of the season, but we'll give you an opportunity to enter a drawing to win that TV.
Tell me now so I can get my inside track to this TV.
I'll tell you off air.
By the way, this Friday Night FLX, in WWE naming terms, that's just FLX. That's not Flex.
Well, you talked to Snoop Daniel. He says Flex. It's his deal. So, hey, Snoop is the hippest man around. So, by the way, if you are in the state of Texas, early voting open today. This is Tuesday. It is open through October 30th, so get out and vote. Do your civic duty. That'll do it for this week's Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. You can follow Justin Smash Simmons on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at The Smash Simmons. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Stu Myrick. That's STEWMYRICK. You can follow the show on Twitter at SGTWATX. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. We are proud to be the official media partner of the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, and we're proud to be part of the great lineup you hear every day. On the flagship station for the Texas Longhorns and your radio home in Austin for the Dallas Cowboys, we are The Horn. Catch us Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. Central on The Horn, or catch us anytime on demand by going to hornfm.com, click on the On Air tab, or by subscribing to us on your favorite podcast provider. Thanks so much to Drew McIntyre, the WWE Champion, for joining us, and thanks to you for giving us a little bit of your time tonight. For Justin, I'm Stu. We will see you at the matches.
Goodbye and good night. Bang!
And that's how it's done. Nice and simple.
Pretty much.
But yes, get out and vote. By the way, if you have not seen, Ring of Honor has been putting out these video montages because apparently Impact Wrestling just isn't enough for EC3. So EC3 is heading to Ring of Honor.
Which is good for him, though, after being not seen for like the last 2 years because of his WWE contract.
As I said, hey, send him to AEW, let him challenge Cody for the title. Why not? So, what else are we missing? I didn't do a G1 update just because they're in the middle of it, and it's they've got more action tomorrow night. I think Naito is ahead. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Okay. Yep.
I'm pretty sure things would more even out as they get closer, so they can have some setups for like real high drama matches right before.
You hope. All right, there we go. Night 15. All right, so let's see. All right, Kota Ibushi is A block. Kota Ibushi, Kazuchika Okada each have 12 points. Will Ospreay has 10. Jay White has 12. So you got Ibushi, Okada, and Jay White at 12. Of course, Ibushi, the defending G1 champion. Will Ospreay at 10. Jeff Cobb at 8. Tai Chi at 8. Let's see. Ishii, Takagi, and Minoru Suzuki at 6. And Yujiro Takahashi at 0. He has not won a match. He is 0-8 so far.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't look like he's gonna move on.
No, I don't think he's going for at least for A block.
But is he one of those people that can upset somebody down the line? You know, that's
he'll
always
he
something
can
that
certainly
you can look at.
Yeah, he can certainly play spoiler. That can always happen. Let's see if we can see what B block has right now.
Oh, I know.
B block, which I think they're the ones that are wrestling in about, let's see, it is 8:51 p.m. Central, so figure in about 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. So about 6-7 hours, they will kick off their night of action. B block, Naito and Evil at 10 points apiece. You've got Sonata, Zack Sabre Jr., and Hiroki Goto at 8. Tanahashi, Juice Robinson, Toru Yano, and Kenta at 6. And Yoshihashi at 2. So Yoshihashi has one more win than Yujiro Takahashi. But, yeah, so it's looking like. So Naito, if Naito finds a way to make it to the finals and then wins it, then I don't think he gets the night off at Wrestle Kingdom. They'll just find somebody else.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he doesn't get the night off.
No.
Although that would be a cool prize, right?
That would be interesting.
Night off with the full payout?
Yeah.
I take that.
It looks like in order to do that, he will probably have to go through Evil, the man he took the titles from. He was his former LIJ mate.
It only makes sense because they're good about revisiting those little things.
Yeah. Yeah. If you had to choose now who's coming out of Block A, I don't know if they do Ibushi back to back.
I don't think so.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think so either.
Although he does deserve like a true shot.
He does.
But I mean, like I guess it's always like they never want to go all the way with him.
Will they give it to Okada?
I mean, he really is the best, but it's at one of those times. It's like, how can you miss him if he's always
right
in the picture?
Right. Jay White.
It didn't really work the first time.
That's the thing.
I felt it was rushed.
It was rushed. They took the title off of him pretty quickly at the Garden.
Yeah, I never really bought into the whole switchblade thing. Like, I don't understand what that's supposed to represent necessarily, and it just didn't. It was just like, okay, so now Jay White is this character, and we're gonna give him the title. And I was like, okay, yeah. I know that AJ Styles is leaving, but did you need another foreign heel so quickly?
I mean, and again, Will Ospreay's only 2 points back.
I mean, I could totally see him.
What, 3 or 4 nights to go?
I mean, that makes more sense just because he's so over with everybody right now.
Yeah, I mean, he was talking about he wants to go heavyweight anyway.
Yeah, I mean, this would be the best chance to do it.
So why not? I'll be honest, something inside me says if it's not Ospreay, they make Ibushi a 2-time winner. I don't know why. There is no logic to it, but I don't know, just my gut.
That one I just don't see.
I don't know why I see it, but it's just my gut. I
mean, he always deserves to be in a prime spot.
Absolutely.
I just don't see it being this prime.
Absolutely. I was telling some of the AEPW students about when Kota Ibushi got to meet Cowboy Johnny Mantell when we were there for the G1 Media Day.
Oh, yeah.
And Johnny had the yellow suitcase that he had gotten for working in New Japan. And Kota was very impressed, as was Tanahashi, as was Juice Robinson.
Well, I mean,
We got to get Johnny on.
Especially
we
with
have talked to him a while.
Especially with the Japanese, the respect is very high
Yes.
culturally. And,
absolutely.
And like just to have the honor of meeting somebody that had like been a precursor to their footsteps.
Especially after Johnny compared the Ace to Kerry Von Erich. So
Oh well, yeah. I mean, but no doubt. I mean, he's a
I got emotional of that.
He's a rock and roll star. He's always. I mean, that's been the Ace. I mean, the air guitar is just kind of like an offshoot of him being essentially a rock star that happens to wrestle.
Yeah.
But I mean, he saves that company. I mean, gosh. I mean, you go back and to think of what New Japan was just a few years ago, just a couple of decades ago. They were nothing. Nobody was talking about New Japan.
By the way, Eric Burns says hello. So hello
Hey,
back to Eric. Good to hear from you. Yeah. I mean, he.
Eric, what's made you mad in professional wrestling this week? I
Yeah,
just feel that
as
we need to have like a therapeutic session for people. Like, hey, what did you
Yes.
not like about wrestling this week? Just
We
get it
need-
out of the way now.
We need Scorpio Sky to reprise his role as what was it, Dr. What on Raw?
Oh, that's right, man.
He was the one.
Going.
He's the one that got Team Hell No together.
Yeah, you're going a little old school.
Yeah. So we need him to reprise that role and serve as our psychiatrist, our therapist. Because man, there's just, it's after the last few weeks, I guess it's less of gotten me angry and more of just shaking my head, going, wow.
Well, I still give him a lot of credit, though. Everybody's still trying to keep.
You do, and you're such a good man for giving him so much credit.
Well, they're trying to give us content on the fly, and they haven't really fleshed out the ideas. And how could you have ideas fleshed out in the middle of a pandemic and people getting hurt? And
AEW doesn't.
yeah, but it's not always consistent.
Ring of Honor doesn't.
It's not always consistent. And Ring of Honor took a long time off.
They did. Absolutely.
And AEW, they already had everything lined up because nobody was really out of action for the most part.
Well, not just that. They've had people that could not work because they were stuck overseas.
Yeah, but I mean, but they
were flexible enough to adjust.
Yeah,
Vince isn't flexible.
exactly. But they also had to like really roll on the fly because now people weren't available.
And
other
again-
people were hurt.
And again, as I've said, the last 3 weeks, multi-billion-dollar corporation, publicly traded,
Yeah.
and you can't figure out how to do this.
Hey, they have a lot of people that they're trying to please, so they never necessarily figure it out. And they have like 4 shows that they try to get off the ground each and every week.
That's their own doing. That's their own fault. though.
Exactly. It's just like once you go to the well and you know that they're going to put money in the bucket, you keep on going back to it. Nothing wrong with that. But some of the stuff, while they're not great at flexibility, they have given us some great moments because of their ability to be somewhat flexible. You think about the cinematic matches at the very beginning.
At the very beginning, I will give them, obviously the boneyard match. I almost said boneyard. No, not talking shopomania. I'll give them the boneyard match with Taker and Styles.
Because I loved the Cena match. I thought that was amazing stuff.
I'll even give them Fiend and Cena. It was a little weird, but hey, I see what they were doing, and so okay.
The weirdness is what really sold it for me.
After that,
Yeah, they start putting the Hurt Business together. So they brought back MVP. That has been, I think, excellent because
MVP has been good.
Yeah, he's been so
But
good.
that's
it's
more on MVP.
Well, he's been really good, but it's been nice to have Lashley and Cruz while they had to work each other for like 2 months that they were in a main event.
Yeah, and that's all you saw.
But hey, Cruz won the U.S. title, giving him something that his character had been lacking for a while because it's like, what are they going to do with him? So we saw him, right?
Yeah,
They started kind of.
I'm not saying they're a total wreck. It's not quite to the depths of WCW in 2001, but
I don't think
man, there's some stuff they do that just it's like. I mean, how do you justify this?
I don't think it can ever get that bad again, just because there's so many writers as opposed to like just Vince Russo and what was the guy's name?
Ed Ferrara.
Yeah, like just trying to run amok. You know, everything has to go through Vince. So while you're still going to,
and that's the other thing. Everything has to go through Vince.
So while you'll still get like the Vince McMahon idea, which doesn't make any sense. I mean, at least it still came after.
It might be archaic and might be a little politically incorrect.
It might be a little racist, you know, but he'll see if it sticks.
By the way, I was wrong. It wasn't 15 Retribution kids. It was only like 8 or 10.
Okay.
But still, 8 or 10 to 3. Because Cedric wasn't there last week.
Yeah, but you can see that they're already like
Still
not on TV, so they're buying themselves some time. Maybe they come back the next week now that they've been drafted.
The problem is they promoted them for being on Raw this week.
Yeah, I mean, but the card's always subject to change.
I know, but still, you had a big angle like that, and you decided to skip a week.
Hey, man, if it's anything close to what you're saying, and like we all alluded to it, like, hey, that didn't look good at first. If they can kind of,
that's it. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. If they can kind of go from there and kind of like take some of that part, like if they can kind of curtail the racial undertones of it, and then kind of just make it a full faction where Ali just feels like, hey, I wasn't getting my push. I needed to bring these guys out to have the WWE see that I deserve my shot, and this was the only way I was going to get it because I tried to go through the system, and the system didn't allow me to flourish. Then I can totally see it working, and they can easily backtrack and do something like that. It's just are they? That's like I'm giving them too much credit.
Will they do it to make it look like it was their idea and not being pressured by outside influences, be it stockholders, fans.
But that's just it. I haven't even heard anybody really bring up some of the points that we brought up that have money in the company.
As far as I know, the only two that I've known of are me and Nick Hausman.
Well, I mean, I think at the same token, it's kind of like we've seen so much WWE programming that we kind of know how it kind of works and where they'll take realistic storyline, I guess, like real life, and try to implement it into storyline,
which sometimes works, but a lot of times doesn't. They've been bitten in the past by it.
Yeah, but I think maybe this time, like, since everything is just so, like, there's so much going on in the world, like, this one was
just... they just slide it in.
This one's just like a blip. Like, oh, is somebody really going to catch this amongst all the real world stuff that's going on?
Well, I get you, Burnsy. That's Vince for you. Yep, you're right. All right, well, we need to get out of here.
But next time you watch, I want to know what you think about Retribution. Get back to us next week if they.
Yeah, I still want to know who. How far off am I on my rant?
Oh, hey, let me ask you. You noticed that? What's Rey Mysterio's daughter? His name?
Aaliyah.
Do you think that she's getting poised to be like a big star?
I heard about that. Who was it that I saw write about that? Was it Satin?
Because she gets a lot of segments. Like and no offense, I'm just gonna say it. She's an attractive woman.
Oh, she's very pretty.
So I can see, and like I get that she had some bad acting angles, but I can see like, oh, if they give her a good one, like she could really sell it. So I'm just like, I can see her being something. But am I just saying that because she's a Mysterio, or does she really have something there?
I think she gets a little bit of benefit of the doubt because of Rey. I'll be honest, and I was thinking about this again. I'm old and I'm going to be an old curmudgeon here. I really think they need to pull back on having Rey's wife and daughter both out there, but they can't because they got this thing with Aaliyah and Murphy. I don't know.
Like now it all fits.
I know. It's a little too soap opera-ish.
It's like Steamboat versus Flair.
Stop.
Here you are with your family, goody two shoes.
Yeah,
and your two working eyes.
The difference was.
Did you see what he did to Dad? Look at his eye. I remember when Dominic told his sister that was so. Yes. I tried not to laugh, but that was hilarious.
It was kind of funny, but that's what I'm saying. That was a one shot deal. All they did was walk out with him. They didn't do any
with the
angles.
Horse.
Huh? What?
There was a horse.
There was a horse. What are you talking about?
Wasn't there a horse? You didn't.
For.
Yeah, Ricky Steamboat. Wasn't there a white horse?
No.
No, he did come out on a white horse with his.
I'm talking about in when the best of 3 series with Flair.
Yeah.
No,
never.
It was him and his wife and his son was dressed up, had his like a Halloween costume as a dragon. And then Flair came out with the bevy of beauties.
Yeah.
Which is what you would expect from Flair.
Yes.
But it wasn't. They weren't part of the story. That was just part of the entrance.
Well, I mean, the storyline was that one was the player and the other one was a family man.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But they didn't bring out his family every week and show them. The only time you saw the family was at the pay-per-view when they came out for the entrance.
I was going to say, actually, she did appear a few times, like on studio television, like to have those promos build up into that match. I swear. Like, I remember in some drunken haze watching random YouTube videos.
Okay, there you go. Drunken haze. But it wasn't like what we're seeing with Mysterio, and this is turning and oh, by the way, that was for the world title.
Well, yeah, just a little thing on the side.
Yeah, let's remember that. This is just because this is the stuff of a telenovela. This is stuff of a soap opera.
This is what pro wrestling is supposed to be.
Yeah, but don't get so deep into soap operas. You know, if you're going to go that way, go Lucha Underground. Give me that. Let's bring back the Reptile Tribe, and let's bring back, Mil Muertes, and let's, get Dario Cueto making matches. And
I think that only really works in one realm.
Well, WWE apparently wants to try to make their own realm.
They have their own universe. That's it. See, it's their
Which
universe.
is so different from every other universe.
That's why they're the ones that coined it. The WWE
for better or for worse
universe.
Yeah.
And then everybody bought in on that.
All right. Well, we got to get out of here because, I'm going to watch the rest of Bills and Titans if it's still on. It may not be. Again, thanks to everybody on YouTube for joining us. We'll be back next week with more of this fun and frivolity. But for now, for Justin, I'm Stu. Have a great week, and we'll see you at the matches.